The news spread like wildfire through the quiet streets of Eastwood, a tight-knit community nestled along the banks of the Mystic River. Katie, the beloved daughter of Jimmy Marcus, had been found brutally murdered in the early hours of the morning, her lifeless body discovered at the edge of the riverbank. For Jack, Sean, and Dave, the shock of the tragedy was compounded by the realization that their own daughters could have easily been in Katie's place. As childhood friends who had drifted apart over the years, they had never anticipated a reunion under such horrific circumstances. Gathering at the Marcus household, their faces etched with grief and disbelief, the once inseparable quartet found themselves drawn together once again by a bond forged in the innocence of youth. But beneath the surface of their reunion simmered a tension born of unresolved conflicts and buried secrets, threatening to unravel the fragile threads holding their friendship intact. As they grappled with the magnitude of Katie's death and the unanswered questions surrounding it, Jack, Sean, Dave, and Jimmy were forced to confront not only the darkness lurking within their own hearts but the shadows of suspicion that now clouded their once unbreakable bond. Amidst the mournful whispers and condolences that filled the air, Sean Devine found himself haunted by memories long buried beneath the facade of his successful career as a homicide detective. The sight of Jimmy Marcus, his childhood friend turned grief-stricken father, stirred emotions he had long since suppressed, dredging up ghosts from the past he had fought so hard to forget. As Sean delved deeper into the investigation, retracing the steps that led to Katie's untimely demise, he found himself drawn inexorably back to the streets of Eastwood, the same streets he and his friends had roamed as carefree boys, oblivious to the darkness that lurked just beyond the shadows. But the passage of time had wrought changes upon the landscape of their youth, transforming familiar landmarks into unfamiliar territory fraught with danger and deception. Each clue unearthed in the search for Katie's killer seemed to lead Sean further from the truth, blurring the line between friend and suspect in a maze of conflicting loyalties and hidden agendas. As the layers of secrecy surrounding Katie's death began to unravel, Sean realized that the key to unlocking the mystery lay not in the present but in the past. A past that held the answers to questions he dared not ask and truths he feared to confront. And so, with each step forward, Sean found himself inexorably drawn into the heart of the darkness that had long haunted Mystic River, where the sins of the past cast long shadows over the present and the bonds of friendship were tested in the crucible of betrayal and redemption. As the days stretched into weeks, the once solid foundation of trust among the childhood friends began to erode under the weight of suspicion and doubt. In the hushed conversations that took place behind closed doors and wary glances exchanged in passing, each man grappled with the unsettling realization that someone among them could be capable of such a heinous act. For Dave Boyle, haunted by his own demons and tormented by memories of a childhood stolen, the specter of guilt hung heavy around his shoulders like a shroud. Though he had long sought to bury the painful truths of his past beneath a facade of normalcy, the events surrounding Katie's murder threatened to expose the cracks in his carefully constructed veneer. As whispers of Dave's troubled history echoed through the streets of Eastwood, fueled by rumors and half-truths, he found himself cast once again as the outsider, a role he had hoped to leave behind forever. But try as he might to distance himself from the shadows of his past, Dave could not escape the damning glare of suspicion that followed him at every turn. Meanwhile, Jack and Jimmy grappled with their own demons, each haunted by regrets and what-ifs that threatened to consume them from within. Caught in a web of conflicting loyalties and hidden agendas, they found themselves torn between their allegiance to their friend and their duty to seek justice for Katie. As tensions reached a boiling point and old wounds were reopened, the bonds of friendship that had once seemed unbreakable now stood on the brink of collapse. And amidst the chaos and confusion, the true nature of the darkness that lurked within Mystic River began to reveal itself, a darkness born not of a single act of violence, but of the secrets and lies that had festered beneath the surface for far too long. With each passing day, the investigation into Katie's murder delved deeper into the murky depths of the human psyche, uncovering a tangled web of deceit and betrayal that stretched back decades. As Sean Devine sifted through the evidence, he found himself confronting uncomfortable truths about the town he had once called home and the people he had once called friends. But the more Sean uncovered, the less certain he became of where the truth lay, as each new revelation only served to muddy the waters further. As suspects emerged and alibis crumbled, he found himself grappling with the unsettling realization that the answers he sought might lie closer to home than he had ever dared to imagine. Meanwhile, tensions among the once inseparable quartet reached a fever pitch, as accusations flew and old grievances resurfaced with a vengeance. Caught in the crossfire of their own conflicted emotions, Jack, Sean, Dave, and Jimmy found themselves teetering on the brink of self-destruction, their fragile alliance hanging by a thread. But amidst the chaos and confusion, a glimmer of hope emerged, a single thread of truth that promised to unravel the tangled web of lies and deceit once and for all. And as Sean followed this thread deeper into the heart of darkness, he knew that the only way to bring Katie's killer to justice was to confront the demons that lurked within his own soul. For in the end, the true test of friendship was not measured in words or deeds, but in the willingness to face the darkness together and emerge on the other side, battered but unbroken, with the light of truth shining bright in their eyes. And so, with courage and determination, Sean Devine set out into the abyss, ready to confront whatever horrors lay waiting in the shadows of Mystic River. As the investigation intensified, Sean Devine found himself consumed by a relentless pursuit of justice, driven by a burning need to bring Katie's killer to account for their heinous crime. With each passing day, the list of suspects grew longer, and the task of sifting through the evidence more daunting. But amidst the chaos and confusion, Sean remained steadfast in his determination to uncover the truth, following every lead no matter where it might lead. From the seedy underbelly of the criminal underworld to the pristine facade of suburban respectability, he left no stone unturned in his quest for answers. Meanwhile, Jack, Dave, and Jimmy grappled with their own demons, each haunted by the specter of guilt and the knowledge that they bore some measure of responsibility for the tragedy that had befallen their families. As they searched for solace amidst the wreckage of their shattered lives, they found themselves drawn together once again by a shared sense of loss and a determination to see justice served. But as the days turned into weeks, and the trail of clues grew cold, they began to realize that the answers they sought might lie closer to home than they had ever dared to imagine. For in the shadows of Mystic River, where secrets lurked behind every closed door and whispered rumors echoed through the night, the truth was a commodity more precious than gold. And so, armed with nothing but their wits and a burning desire for retribution, Jack, Sean, Dave, and Jimmy set out on a journey into the heart of darkness, where the line between friend and foe blurred and the only certainty was uncertainty. As the investigation into Katie's murder dragged on, the once unbreakable bonds of friendship among Jack, Sean, Dave, and Jimmy began to fray under the weight of suspicion and doubt. Each man harbored secrets they dared not share, and the fear of what might happen if those secrets were revealed cast a pall over their interactions. For Jack, the burden of guilt weighed heavy on his shoulders, as he grappled with the knowledge that his actions, or lack thereof, had played a role in Katie's death. Try as he might to push aside the gnawing sense of remorse that gnawed at his conscience, he found himself haunted by memories of a time when the future seemed limitless and the bonds of friendship unbreakable. Meanwhile, Sean Devine struggled to reconcile his duty as a detective with his loyalty to his friends, torn between the demands of justice and the desire to protect those he held dear. As the investigation closed in on its target, he found himself faced with an impossible choice, a choice that would test the limits of his loyalty and the strength of his convictions. But amidst the turmoil and uncertainty, a glimmer of hope emerged, a flicker of light in the darkness that threatened to consume them all. For in the heart of Mystic River, where the sins of the past cast long shadows over the present, redemption was still possible, if only they were brave enough to reach out and seize it. And so, with courage and determination, Jack, Sean, Dave, and Jimmy set out to confront the demons that haunted them, armed with nothing but their faith in each other and the belief that together, they could overcome any obstacle. For in the end, the true measure of friendship was not in the absence of conflict, but in the strength to overcome it, together. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the weight of grief hung heavy over the town of Eastwood, casting a pall over its once vibrant streets and suffusing the air with a palpable sense of loss. For Jack, Sean, Dave, and Jimmy, the passage of time did little to dull the pain of Katie's absence, as each day served as a painful reminder of the void left in her wake. But amidst the overwhelming sorrow, seeds of hope began to take root, fragile tendrils of resilience that emerged from the fertile soil of despair. Slowly but surely, the bonds of friendship that had been strained to the breaking point by tragedy began to heal, as Jack, Sean, Dave, and Jimmy drew strength from each other in their darkest hours. For Jack, the journey toward healing began with a single step, a journey back into the heart of Mystic River, where the memories of his childhood lay buried beneath the weight of regret and remorse. With each passing day, he found solace in the simple pleasures of life, the laughter of friends, the warmth of the sun on his face, and the knowledge that even in the darkest of times, there was still hope. Meanwhile, Sean Devine found himself grappling with his own demons, as the specter of guilt threatened to consume him from within. But with the support of his friends and the unwavering determination to see justice served, he found the strength to confront the darkness that lurked within his own soul, emerging stronger and more resilient than ever before. And as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the wounds left by Katie's death began to heal, leaving behind scars that served as a reminder of the pain they had endured and the strength they had gained. For in the end, it was not the trials they faced or the tragedies they endured that defined them, but the courage and resilience with which they faced them, together. As the investigation into Katie's murder continued to evolve, Sean Devine found himself navigating a labyrinth of conflicting evidence and unreliable witnesses. Each new lead seemed to bring more questions than answers, casting shadows of doubt over the very fabric of the case. The deeper Sean delved, the more he realized that the truth was buried beneath layers of deception, waiting to be unearthed. For Jimmy, the pain of losing his daughter was compounded by the frustration of watching the investigation stall. Every dead end and red herring drove him further into despair, and his once unyielding resolve began to crack under the pressure. The suspicion that someone close to him might be involved gnawed at his soul, casting a dark cloud over his every waking moment. Jack, on the other hand, became increasingly consumed by the need to protect his own family. He questioned the motives of those around him, including his oldest friends. The unspoken tension between them grew palpable, as each man wrestled with his own fears and suspicions. Jack's paranoia reached new heights as he struggled to keep his loved ones safe while grappling with the possibility that one of his friends might be capable of such a heinous act. Dave's life had become a tumultuous sea of emotions, as he battled the memories of his traumatic past and the present-day reality of being a suspect in Katie's murder. The whispers and accusations from the townspeople were a constant reminder of his outsider status, and he found solace only in the fleeting moments of camaraderie with his childhood friends. But even those moments were tainted by the underlying tension and mistrust that had come to define their interactions. As the shadows of doubt grew longer, Sean realized that the key to solving the case lay not in the evidence alone, but in understanding the complex web of relationships and hidden motives that connected the people of Eastwood. He began to look beyond the obvious suspects, delving into the lives of those who had been overlooked or dismissed. In his quest for the truth, Sean uncovered a series of startling revelations that challenged everything he thought he knew about the case. The investigation took an unexpected turn, leading him down a path that forced him to confront his own biases and assumptions. He began to see that the truth was not black and white, but a murky shade of gray, where good and evil were intertwined in ways he could never have imagined. With the case at a critical juncture, Sean Devine found himself racing against time to uncover the truth before it slipped through his fingers. The pressure to find Katie's killer weighed heavily on his shoulders, and the stakes had never been higher. The once clear lines between friend and foe, right and wrong, had blurred beyond recognition, leaving Sean to navigate a treacherous landscape where every decision could have far-reaching consequences. Jimmy's desperation had reached a fever pitch, and he was willing to do whatever it took to find justice for his daughter. He became increasingly reckless, taking matters into his own hands and pursuing leads that Sean had deemed too risky. Jimmy's single-minded determination to find Katie's killer put him at odds with Sean, straining their friendship to its breaking point. Meanwhile, Jack found himself torn between loyalty to his friends and the need to protect his own family. The strain of the investigation had taken its toll on him, and he struggled to maintain a semblance of normalcy in his life. Jack's inner turmoil manifested in sleepless nights and strained relationships, as he grappled with the possibility that one of his closest friends could be involved in Katie's death. Dave's world continued to unravel, as he faced mounting pressure from both the investigation and the townspeople. The accusations and suspicions that had plagued him since Katie's murder showed no signs of abating, and Dave felt increasingly isolated and vulnerable. He knew that proving his innocence was not enough. He needed to find the real killer to clear his name once and for all. As the investigation hurtled toward its climax, Sean discovered a crucial piece of evidence that shed new light on the case. The revelation set off a chain of events that brought the four friends together in a desperate quest for the truth. United by their shared determination to find justice for Katie, they put aside their differences and worked together to unravel the mystery that had torn their lives apart. Their journey took them deep into the heart of Mystic River, where they confronted long-buried secrets and faced the demons of their past. Along the way, they discovered that the bonds of friendship, though strained and tested, were stronger than they had ever imagined. In their quest for justice, they found redemption and the strength to move forward, united by the knowledge that they had faced the darkness together and emerged on the other side, battered but unbroken. As the investigation neared its end, the four friends found themselves on the cusp of uncovering the truth that had eluded them for so long. The final pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, revealing a shocking conspiracy that reached far deeper than any of them had anticipated. With the killer's identity now within their grasp, they prepared to confront the demons that had haunted them for decades. For Sean, the journey had been one of self-discovery and growth. He had learned to trust his instincts and rely on the support of his friends, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. As the lead investigator, Sean felt the weight of responsibility more acutely than ever, knowing that the lives of those he cared about depended on his ability to bring the killer to justice. Jimmy's anger and grief had driven him to the brink of madness, but in the final hours of the investigation, he found a renewed sense of purpose. He channeled his rage into a fierce determination to see justice served, knowing that it was the only way to honor Katie's memory and find peace for himself. Jack, who had been torn between loyalty and suspicion, finally found clarity in the truth. The journey had forced him to confront his deepest fears and insecurities, and in doing so, he had discovered a resilience he never knew he possessed. Jack's newfound strength gave him the courage to stand by his friends and face the challenges that lay ahead. Dave, who had been the subject of suspicion and mistrust, proved his innocence through unwavering resolve and a relentless pursuit of the truth. The journey had been a crucible for him, forging a new sense of identity and self-worth. Dave's resilience and determination inspired his friends and brought them closer together in their shared quest for justice. As the four friends prepared to confront the killer, they knew that the stakes had never been higher. The truth they had uncovered threatened to upend the lives of everyone in Eastwood, and the potential for violence loomed large. But armed with the knowledge of the killer's identity and the strength of their unbreakable bond, they set out to confront the darkness one final time. In a dramatic showdown by the banks of Mystic River, the friends faced the killer and the truths that had remained hidden for so long. The confrontation was intense and emotional, as years of pain, anger, and betrayal came to a head. In the end, it was their unwavering loyalty to each other and their commitment to justice that carried them through, leading to a resolution that brought closure to the tragedy that had shattered their lives. The aftermath of the confrontation left the town of Eastwood reeling, as the truth of Katie's murder and the conspiracy behind it came to light. The revelations were both shocking and devastating, exposing a web of corruption and deceit that had ensnared the entire community. As the dust settled, the four friends found themselves grappling with the enormity of what they had uncovered and the impact it would have on their lives moving forward. Sean Devine, who had been the driving force behind the investigation, found himself at a crossroads. The journey had changed him in profound ways, forcing him to confront his own biases and assumptions. As the town's leading detective, Sean knew that his work was far from over. The revelations had exposed deep-seated issues within the community, and he was determined to root out the corruption and ensure that justice prevailed. Jimmy, whose grief and anger had driven him to the brink, found a measure of peace in the knowledge that his daughter's killer had been brought to justice. The journey had been a harrowing one, but it had also brought him closer to his friends and helped him rediscover his own strength. As he began to rebuild his life, Jimmy knew that he would never forget Katie, but he could now honor her memory by living a life filled with purpose and love. Jack, who had been torn apart by suspicion and doubt, found solace in the truth and the strength of his friendships. The journey had taught him the value of trust and loyalty, and he emerged from the experience with a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. Jack's newfound resolve would serve him well as he navigated the challenges that lay ahead, both in his personal life and within the community. Dave, who had been the subject of suspicion and mistrust, was finally vindicated. The journey had been a crucible for him, forging a new sense of identity and self-worth. With the truth now out in the open, Dave found the courage to embrace his past and look toward the future with hope and determination. The support of his friends had been instrumental in his journey, and he was grateful for the bond that had sustained them through the darkest of times. As the friends looked toward the future, they knew that the road ahead would not be easy. The revelations had exposed deep wounds within the community, and the process of healing and rebuilding would be a long and difficult one. But armed with the truth and the strength of their unbreakable bond, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the heart of Mystic River, where the past and present converged in a tapestry of pain and redemption, the friends found the courage to move forward, united by their shared journey and the knowledge that they had faced the darkness together and emerged stronger for it. In the weeks that followed the dramatic confrontation, the town of Eastwood struggled to come to terms with the dark revelations that had come to light. The community was in shock, grappling with the fallout from the corruption and deceit that had been exposed. The process of rebuilding trust and restoring a sense of normalcy was slow and fraught with challenges. For Sean Devine, the journey was far from over. As the town's leading detective, he was determined to see that justice was served and that the corruption that had taken root in Eastwood was eradicated. Sean worked tirelessly, conducting thorough investigations and bringing those responsible to justice. His commitment to the truth and his unwavering sense of duty inspired confidence in the community, and slowly but surely, Eastwood began to heal. Jimmy Marcus, who had been driven by grief and anger, found a renewed sense of purpose in the aftermath of the revelations. He channeled his energy into positive pursuits, working to honor Katie's memory and make a difference in the lives of others. Jimmy became a pillar of strength and resilience in the community, his journey from despair to hope serving as an inspiration to those around him. Jack, who had been torn by suspicion and doubt, found peace in the truth and the strength of his friendships. The journey had taught him valuable lessons about trust, loyalty, and the importance of confronting one's fears. Jack embraced these lessons, using them to guide him as he navigated the challenges of rebuilding his life and relationships. Dave, who had been vindicated by the truth, found the courage to embrace his past and look toward the future with hope. The journey had been a crucible for him, forging a new sense of identity and self-worth. With the support of his friends, Dave began to rebuild his life, finding solace in the knowledge that he was no longer defined by the shadows of his past. As the friends faced the truth and its implications, they found strength in their shared journey and the unbreakable bond that had sustained them through the darkest of times. They knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by their commitment to justice and the belief that together, they could overcome any obstacle. In the heart of Mystic River, where the past and present converged in a tapestry of pain and redemption, the friends found the courage to move forward, armed with the knowledge that they had faced the darkness together and emerged stronger for it. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that the journey was far from over, but they were ready to face it, together. As the town of Eastwood continued to grapple with the fallout from the revelations, the friends found themselves facing new challenges and difficult decisions. The process of rebuilding their lives and relationships required confronting painful truths and making difficult choices. In the wake of the confrontation, the bonds that had once seemed unbreakable were tested in ways they had never anticipated. For Sean Devine, the pursuit of justice remained his primary focus. But as he delved deeper into the investigation, he uncovered new layers of corruption and deceit that threatened to unravel the progress he had made. The revelations forced him to confront uncomfortable truths about the people he had once trusted and the town he had once called home. Sean's commitment to the truth and his unwavering sense of duty were put to the test, as he navigated a treacherous landscape where the lines between friend and foe were constantly shifting. Jimmy Marcus, who had found a renewed sense of purpose in the aftermath of the revelations, faced his own set of challenges. The journey toward healing and redemption was fraught with obstacles, as he struggled to reconcile his grief with his desire for justice. Jimmy's determination to make a difference in the lives of others was tempered by the realization that some bridges had been burned beyond repair. He found solace in the support of his friends and the knowledge that he was not alone in his journey. Jack, who had found peace in the truth and the strength of his friendships, faced new trials as he worked to rebuild his life and relationships. The journey had taught him valuable lessons about trust, loyalty, and the importance of confronting one's fears. Jack's newfound resolve was tested as he navigated the challenges of restoring trust and rebuilding the connections that had been strained by the events of the past. Dave, who had been vindicated by the truth, faced his own set of challenges as he worked to rebuild his life and find a sense of normalcy. The journey had been a crucible for him, forging a new sense of identity and self-worth. But the process of healing was slow, and the scars left by the events of the past were not easily erased. Dave found strength in the support of his friends and the knowledge that he was not alone in his journey toward redemption. As the friends faced these new challenges, they found that some bridges had been burned beyond repair, while others could be rebuilt with time, effort, and a commitment to the truth. The process of healing and rebuilding required confronting painful truths and making difficult choices, but it also offered the opportunity for growth and renewal. In the heart of Mystic River, where the past and present converged in a tapestry of pain and redemption, the friends found the courage to move forward, armed with the knowledge that they had faced the darkness together and emerged stronger for it. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that the journey was far from over, but they were ready to face it, together. The road to closure was a long and arduous one for the friends, as they continued to grapple with the aftermath of the revelations and the impact it had on their lives. The journey toward healing and redemption required not only confronting the painful truths of the past but also finding the strength to forgive and move forward. For Sean Devine, the pursuit of justice had become a deeply personal mission. As he continued to root out the corruption and deceit that had plagued Eastwood, he found himself facing new challenges and difficult choices. The investigation had taken a toll on him, both personally and professionally, but Sean's unwavering commitment to the truth and his determination to see justice served kept him going. Jimmy Marcus, who had been driven by grief and anger, found solace in his renewed sense of purpose and the support of his friends. The journey toward closure was a difficult one, as he struggled to reconcile his desire for justice with his need to heal. Jimmy's determination to make a difference in the lives of others offered him a sense of hope and fulfillment, but the scars left by Katie's death would never fully fade. Jack, who had found peace in the truth and the strength of his friendships, continued to navigate the challenges of rebuilding his life and relationships. The journey had taught him valuable lessons about trust, loyalty, and the importance of confronting one's fears. Jack's newfound resolve and the support of his friends gave him the strength to face the difficulties ahead and find a sense of closure. Dave, who had been vindicated by the truth, faced his own set of challenges as he worked to rebuild his life and find a sense of normalcy. The journey had been a crucible for him, forging a new sense of identity in self-worth. But the process of healing was slow, and the scars left by the events of the past were not easily erased. Dave found strength in the support of his friends and the knowledge that he was not alone in his journey toward closure. As the friends continued their journey toward closure, they found that the process of healing and rebuilding required confronting painful truths, making difficult choices, and finding the strength to forgive. The road to closure was long and fraught with challenges, but it also offered the opportunity for growth and renewal. In the heart of Mystic River, where the past and present converged in a tapestry of pain and redemption, the friends found the courage to move forward, armed with the knowledge that they had faced the darkness together and emerged stronger for it. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that the journey was far from over, but they were ready to face it, together. The journey toward redemption had been a long and difficult one for Jack, Sean, Dave, and Jimmy, but as they emerged from the darkness, they found themselves bathed in the light of a new beginning. The trials they had faced and the pain they had endured had forged an unbreakable bond between them, one that would carry them forward into the future with strength and resilience. For Sean Devine, the pursuit of justice had become a mission that transcended the boundaries of his role as a detective. He had uncovered the truth, rooted out corruption, and brought those responsible to justice. But more importantly, he had discovered the power of friendship, loyalty, and the unwavering belief in doing what was right. As Sean looked toward the future, he knew that his work was far from over, but he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that he had the support of his friends and the strength of his convictions. Jimmy Marcus, who had been driven by grief and anger, found a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment in his quest for justice. The journey had taught him the value of resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of honoring the memory of his daughter by living a life filled with love and purpose. As Jimmy began to rebuild his life, he found solace in the knowledge that he had faced the darkness and emerged stronger for it, ready to embrace the future with hope and determination. Jack, who had found peace in the truth and the strength of his friendships, continued to navigate the challenges of rebuilding his life and relationships. The journey had taught him valuable lessons about trust, loyalty, and the importance of confronting one's fears. Jack's newfound resolve and the support of his friends gave him the strength to face the difficulties ahead and find a sense of closure. Dave, who had been vindicated by the truth, faced his own set of challenges as he worked to rebuild his life and find a sense of normalcy. The journey had been a crucible for him, forging a new sense of identity in self-worth. But the process of healing was slow, and the scars left by the events of the past were not easily erased. Dave found strength in the support of his friends and the knowledge that he was not alone in his journey toward redemption. As the friends stood together on the banks of Mystic River, where the past and present converged in a tapestry of pain and redemption, they knew that the journey was far from over. The road ahead would be filled with challenges, but they were ready to face it, united by their shared journey and the knowledge that they had faced the darkness together and emerged stronger. For it that I in the light of a new beginning, the friends found the courage to move forward, knowing that the bonds they had forged would carry them through whatever lay ahead. And as they looked toward the future, they embraced the promise of redemption and the hope of a brighter tomorrow, together.